I forget, why'd the guy shoot you 9 times?
He was paid to do it.
Who would want to
Why
shoot
were you targeted?
You're such a good guy.
It's my past. It's karma. Well, he was paid because someone, felt like that I would potentially do something to them if they kept going in the direction that they were going.
Man, you are tough.
Where were you shot? Which part of the body? Where did the bullet
Oh, man, I got shot in my hand. My thumb came out of my hand, my face.
Shot in the face?
Yeah.
And where did that come out?
Out the tooth.
Wow, oh my goodness, there's a hole there.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm surprised the bullet went through there, but it's alarming.
Yeah, it kind of changed my voice too, and this is the voice that sells 8 million records, so I think everything happens for a reason.
Did you ever find out who did it?
Yeah, I know who did it shortly after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are now where?
Oh, the guy who actually shot me is dead.
50 Cent is one of the most legendary rappers to ever touch a mic. In the 2000s, he was a mixtape machine, a marketing prodigy, and arguably the hottest rapper in the game. He knew how to turn controversy into currency, and his plan was simple: get rich or die trying. And on May 24, 2000, that's exactly what almost happened. That afternoon, 50 was visiting his grandmother's house on the south side of Jamaica, Queens, New York. And this was a routine visit, but a visit that would end in the worst of ways. While leaving his grandmother's house, a car eased up outside, a man jumped out and unloaded 9 shots into 50. 50 was hit in the hand, arm, hip, both legs, his chest, and finally, 50 was shot in the face before the shooter ran back to his car and sped away.
Right behind me is my grandmother's home. I came out like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, May 24th. She was bent over, actually planting flowers in the garden, and I walked over here to sit in the actual vehicle that my friend was waiting for me in, and the car pulled up. On the side of us, a guy got out the passenger seat of that car, came around behind it, and shot through the actual car.
50 was left lying on the ground, struggling to maintain consciousness and fighting for his life, but miraculously, he survived the incident with none of the rounds hitting vital organs. It took days for doctors to stabilize his condition, and after 13 days, he was released from the hospital to continue his recovery at home. But the incident had changed 50. He was more aggressive, more intolerant, and ready for revenge.
I could just tell you everything was real. Like, after he got hit, riding around Mac 10 by himself, looking for niggas, looking for cream, it was real. I seen it with my own 2 eyes.
After almost the half a year it took for 50 to fully recover, he came back bigger and better than ever. He name-dropped the man that most people believe was responsible in his song Many Men's. Hamo's real name was Daryl Baum, and he was a close friend of Mike Tyson's and even briefly worked as Tyson's bodyguard, and he was, in fact, killed about 3 weeks after the incident outside of 50 Cent's grandmother's house.
I dedicate this fight to my brother, Daryl Baum, who died. I'll be there to see you. I love you with all my heart.
Mike, is it frustrating to train like you did and then have this in 7 or 8 seconds?
For this fight, I only trained probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks for this fight. I had to bury my best friend, and I dedicated this fight. I wasn't going to fight. I dedicated this fight to him.
But after more than 25 years, some still aren't convinced that Daryl was the real shooter, with more suspects being named during court proceedings tied to a man that was indicted and later convicted on RICO and murder for hire charges named Kenneth Supreme McGriff. He's the man who allegedly put the hit out on 50 Cent and was the person responsible, although he was never charged over the 2000 shooting incident himself. During his trial, it was revealed that 2 other men may have been responsible for this shooting instead of Hamo.
Son and Godby. So Son comes up to the car and opens fire.
Right.
They say that 50 thought it was Hamo.
Yeah, Daryl Baum, yeah.
Yeah.
Real tough guy, but not a killer, not a shooter. In the beginning of the investigation, I thought it was Hamo. When we started to get cooperators in the case, we found out differently.
Till this day, the truth remains a mystery about who really shot 50 Cent and why. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into this entire situation because there was a whole rap/street beef that led up to all of this that has a very thick history, a ton of moving pieces, and the story is absolutely insane. This is the beef that got 50 Cent shot 9 times. 50 Cent, real name Curtis Jackson III, was born on July 6, 1975 in South Jamaica, Queens, New York, an environment that either teaches you to grow up fast or get you swallowed whole. His mother Sabrina Jackson had him when she was only 15 years old, and instead of relying on welfare, she took a different route and started hustling in the streets of New York, dealing drugs and building a reputation. Because of that, 50 barely saw his mother and lived full-time with his grandparents. His father wasn't in the picture.
I never knew my father. I never actually met him.
I wonder what he thinks now.
Yeah. Some people have that thing where they actually want that parent that they haven't had in their lives for a long time. Nah, I have no interest in it. The mistakes that I made early on, Larry, he could have been there to help me not make those mistakes.
Damn right.
He had a rough start that was made worse by the fact that his grandparents' house was crowded. His grandmother had 9 children of her own and was now raising multiple grandkids as well, while the family lived off of his grandfather's single income.
I had to live with them full time, and I went and stayed with them, and it was like we was living on my grandfather's income. So he was real old-fashioned. He's representation of tradition for me. So he would just come and give my grandmother his check. And I never understood that growing up. I was like, you just gonna give her the whole check? He's like, yeah, what's the matter with you? Like, and then later, like as an adult, he'll tell me, he said, you couldn't see it and you won't understand it because you was a baby. But when I gave your mama the check, he said, when I gave your mama the check, it stopped her from looking at things I couldn't give her.
Eventually, the street life caught up with his mother, and when 50 was just 8 years old, she was killed.
My mother passed when I was like 8 years old. I went to live with my grandparents. And she had me when she was 15, so, back then it wasn't as common as the young girls have children at 15, a little more now than they did then. So at that point, she started hustling to be able to provide for me at that point. And she got killed when I was like 8 years old.
So when you say hustling, she was involved with what? She was...
Yeah, selling drugs.
Selling drugs?
Yeah.
Okay, and she was killed as a result of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
After his mother was killed, 50's survival instincts kicked in. He had to start moving like a man, even though he was still just a kid. By 11, he was in the boxing gym on the regular, doing jump ropes, hitting a heavy bag, sparring. He was learning that if nobody in the world could protect him, at least he could. On top of that, he felt uncomfortable asking his grandparents for anything. Money was tight, so he decided to follow in his mother's footsteps and made his way outside into the streets.
It felt like the only real option would be to actually hustle at that point from her, I believe. I don't think she would agree with me going in that direction to hustle. I don't think she wanted that for me. My grandparents grew up in a time where their kids' shoes cost $10. It's a big difference now. The shoes cost like $100 for the new Jordans and stuff like that. So it wasn't that they wouldn't do things for me, but I was uncomfortable asking them to do it. So I asked the people that I felt had it to give. The people that I seen that had the jewelry, the nice cars and things that they got from hustling.
Okay. And so how old were you when you got involved in selling drugs yourself?
Around 12.
12 years old, man.
Yeah.
That's really difficult for someone from my background to understand.
Yeah.
It just seems like such an alien concept.
Even at 12, you still have to live by your parents' rules.
Yeah.
So there's, you can't just be out hustling.
50 had to be 2 separate people. His grandmother's baby at home and a certified hustler in the streets. By 12, 50 says he was cooking crack at his friend's house, stashing it in his room, and learning how the business worked, the measurements, how much a gram cost, an eighth, a quarter, an ounce, a kilo. And while most kids were at home playing video games, 50 was trying to pave a way for a better life, even if he was doing it in the worst of ways.
I associated everything good with my mom. And when she went away, all the nice things went away. And the only people that I seen that had things that spoke to the lifestyle that I had prior to her dying was people from that life. So I would see, a guy, the nice cars, clothes, jewelry, and different things, and they would appear to have everything from my perspective at that point. And it kind of led me into the same lifestyle that she was actually in. Because they'd ask, like, what's the matter with your shoes? And not realize that there's no one there to buy those shoes anymore.
Right.
And they buy your shoes the first time, and then when they get tired of feeding you fish, because after we eat the fish, we hungry again. They give you a pulp.
It didn't take long for 50 to fully jump out into the streets because school just couldn't compete with profit, which by his own accounts was anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a day. In his book, From Pieces to Weight, he wrote, "Nothing I was told in middle school made sense to my reality. I could break down a kilogram of coke into ounces, grams, or any combination of the two. That's how I learned my fractions and decimals through real life application." He looked up to local hustlers like Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichols, one of the godfathers of a notorious New York operation in the 80s, and Kenneth Supreme McGriff, the leader of the Supreme team, which dominated the market in South Jamaica, Queens, running out of the Baisley Park project houses a few miles away from where 50 grew up. The Supreme team had roughly 200 members and was reportedly pulling in about $200,000 a day at its peak. They weren't just respected, they were feared, known for robberies, extortion, and murder. In 50's autobiographical movie, Get Rich or Die Trying, the character Majestic is the leader of a team like this. Many people say that Majestic was a character based heavily off of Supreme. It's a Hollywood story, so not everything should be taken literally from the movie, but the plot includes his mother's murder, and the figure that 50 chose to depict as responsible for his mother's death was Majestic in that movie. Whether it's true in real life, who knows? What we do know is that when 50 decided to hustle, he didn't do what most people would have done, which was join the team that already had the streets on lock. Instead, he hustled for himself and avoided doing any business with Supreme and eating into the Supreme team's market share. Most people were scared of Preem, but 50 wasn't.
But when a nigga like 50, there's only 4 niggas that I know personally in Queens that wasn't scared of Preem. 50, E-Money Bags, Homo, and Big Nose Troy. So like Queens, you had them 3 niggas between Big Nose Troy, Homo, E-Money. Them niggas had terrorized the whole Queens. I remember Preem coming to the block one day and a nigga tried to like sun 50 and rub his head, and 50 rubbed his head. And Preem, and that was the day I know Preem didn't like 50. And the whole block was like, ooh.
50 was making his own way in the game, and ironically, the police helped shape his come up. In 1998, a rookie NYPD officer named Edward Byron was murdered in South Jamaica while guarding a witness. It became national news, and overnight, cops swept the neighborhood, hunting down the hitmen responsible for it that were tied to Fat Cat Nichols. The open-air drug market was shut down, and hustlers adapted. They started tightening their systems, changing how they sold their work, and 50 wrote in his book, "If the hood was cocaine, then the rookie cop's murder was like baking soda, and an angry police force was the fire that cooked up new hustlers like me." As 50 gained market share, Supreme's disdain started to grow, but 50 fell into the same trap that many hustlers do, getting arrested and facing the music. First, he was caught at school with work that he had stashed in his shoe.
Who did you go to? I went to Andrew Jackson. I got kicked out of Andrew Jackson High School.
Well, what you do, look under a girl's skirt?
Nah, I got arrested in Andrew Jackson High School. Like at that point, I was hustling, so I had my pieces, my drugs from my grandmother, and I had it in a pair of gym shoes, and I picked up the wrong gym shoes. At our high school, we had metal detectors. So when we went through the metal detection at the high school, they found the pieces, and they locked me up. I went through a whole few weeks out of school because they thought that I was selling drugs in the school.
Were you?
Nah.
He told MTV, "I was embarrassed that I got arrested like that. That's the worst way to get arrested, but after I got arrested, I stopped hiding it. I was telling my grandmother openly, I sell drugs." For that incident, 50 was sentenced to 2 months in a youth rehabilitation program. It didn't change much. When he got out, he went right back to the streets, and within weeks, he was arrested again for selling 4 vials of coke to an undercover police officer. 3 weeks later, they raided his house and found roughly 10 ounces of crack, a starter pistol, and some heroin. A judge handed down a 3 to 9 year prison sentence, but because he was only 18, he caught a break. The judge showed him leniency, and after he completed 6 months in a shock-style boot camp and earned his GED, the rest of the sentence was suspended. Out of lockup early, 50 tried to keep his hands clean, but also still had needs, and being legit just wasn't cutting it. So he went back to hustling, but on a smaller scale, just enough to keep things flowing.
Yeah, I went back to hustling at that point, and I didn't make a lot of money. It was just enough to keep a income flow. So it was, even if you, at the end of you actually selling what you bought, you had enough to buy that again, you lived off of the money that came in during that time period. So I was just functioning. I didn't have a lot of money during that time period.
At this point, life started to change for 50 in major ways. One of the biggest was meeting a woman named Shaniqua Tompkins, who soon became pregnant with 50's first child, Marquise.
I was actually taking care of myself, my son, mom, and the baby was on the way.
And really focusing on the music as
Right.
really making that happen.
So that time period, I didn't spend hustling or paying attention to what was going on there because I was developing as a writer. From there, it leaves an aura around me that they understand, like they know for a fact that I stopped doing that to rap. My son's mother was, got pregnant. And it kind of was like, I had to make like a little small transition because I know I can't do that and provide for him.
Knowing that he had a kid on the way gave him his first real reason to consider walking away from the streets. 50 said that he didn't want to keep hustling just to end up in prison. He wanted something better for his family, so he started to shift his energy towards music. At first, it was small scale. He was just writing rhymes and recording in his friends' basement studios. And while none of these early tracks were breakout hits, this decision to start rapping would end up changing 50 Cent's life completely.
Wait, for 21 years I've been sober, slinging dope and crack. 1 year I've been down with rap, son, and I fucking relapse. Hydro and hash, I'm twisting the cash, I'm getting it. Cristal, I'm sipping it. Hot shit, I'm spitting it.
The turning point came one night when he ran into Jam Master Jay outside of Bentley's nightclub in New York. Jay was already a legend, known as the DJ of Run DMC throughout the 80s and 90s. By 1996, he was running his own label, JMJ Records, and according to later police reports, he was also linked to a large-scale cocaine distribution operation. Their meeting happened by chance. Jam Master Jay spotted 50's car, which was a Mercedes 400 SE, and mistook it for his friend Kenny Anderson's, an NBA player who drove the same model. Thinking that it was Anderson, Jay banged on the hood of the car as a joke, but when the driver stepped out, it wasn't Anderson, it was 50. And after the confusion cleared, the two started talking. 50 realized who Jay was, and the two hit it off. Jay ended up bringing 50 Cent into the club with him that night, and from there, they became close friends. That friendship would change 50's trajectory forever because Jay became a mentor, teaching him the fundamentals of song structure, bars, and what it really took to become a superstar.
I mean, did Jam Master Jay really work with 50 to kind of help him structure his raps and everything?
Jam Master Jay taught 50 song
structure.
How did you get in this game, man?
I got in the game. I met Jam Master Jay a while, like 3 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I was signed to JMJ Records for like a year. He kind of he taught me how to write in song format.
Okay.
I didn't actually know how to count bars when I met Jay. So I would write a verse and it'd be 12 bars, sometimes 14, sometimes 18. Everything but 16 bars, you know what I mean? And he kind of trained me to write the chorus. And he was like, he'd make me write the chorus to the record 3 or 4 times before I started. And this is why sometimes I have habits based on that. And sometimes I'll put more than one melody on the actual record. So, like for example, on PIMP, I'll start off and go, I'm a PIMP. I don't know what you heard about me. And then there's a point on the record where I'm going, I'm about my money, you see. You can holler at me if you with me. So it's a bridge area almost on the record. And I learned to do those different things under Jay's coolest.
Yo, some niggas be on some fly shit, be on some high shit. We on that thug shit, that fucking do or die shit is on. 50 Cent, JMJ, baby. Yo, I got all the coke you want, just have my cash on delivery. Try some funny shit, I put your ass out your misery. I hate to leave you like your moms, I hate to lose you. But when I say I touch you, I mean I do more than bruise you. In my days, I done gave dirty like showers. Shit I've been down for, I could control a tray pound. Proud, my arm jerk, my shit is hurt. Spam's got blood on his shirt, I done did mad dirt. Putting word, watch your mouth, it'll make me run to you. Put the gun to you, how your ass on feel done to you. Explaining what the I done to you. Thug in the street, saying I'm son of you. I smoke you, and they up under you.
When I brought the music back, it was like run-on rhymes. It just went on and on and on. So he was like, he didn't understand, he realized I didn't have any idea of the song structure. I heard songs before, but where the chorus was like 3 bars long, and then it went back to me rapping again. So he was like, yo, what's the hook?
like on the actual song, and then we went through it where he cut it and paste like the verse where it would start, the parts that he thought were cool. Like he liked what I was rapping about. He just didn't like the actually way it was set up as a song. So he moved things around and then let me write the actual chorus. So a lot of people don't know this, but he made me write the chorus of the song 3 times before I could actually start writing the actual rap that went with the actual song. And he would pick out of those 3 which one he thought was the better one. He's probably the first really strong impression on me creatively.
Over the next few years, 50 owned his craft, learning the structure of hit records and finally putting out music for the public to consume. By 1999, he was ready to take things to the next level. With Jay's Run DMC schedule keeping him busy, 50 decided he wanted to part ways and linked up with Corey Rooney, an executive at Sony Music. Rooney passed along 50's mixtape to the Trackmasters production duo, which eventually led to 50 getting a record deal with Columbia Records.
How did you get put on? How did you get down with the game?
I was signed to Jam Master Jay at JMJ Records. I was there for like 2 years, and I didn't really see myself going any further from like in that situation, so I pursued the Trackmasters Columbia, and I got involved through Corey Rooney. Like, he's from around my way. He introduced me to him. He made that happen, and now I signed with the Trackmasters.
When his touring schedule with Run DMC kind of consumed him, I had to move forward, and I was blessed with the opportunity of running into Corey Rooney. And Corey was from, I knew his father before I actually met him. We used to call his father Swatch. He was in the neighborhood. He was like a guy who previously had hit records himself, his father. And Corey at the time was right under Tommy Mottola at Sony. And he heard of me from guys at the actual barbershop, I believe. And then they had him there. I came and met him. I remember him and Marky D from the Fat Boys. They was like in a car. They had this like drop top Mercedes Benz at the time. It was chilling. And I gave him my tape. He put it in, playing it. And the phone rung and he was on the telephone, and then Marky was like not paying attention. He was doing what he was doing, and then he asked me, he's like, "Yo, what you think?" He was like, nah, I think it's cool. I like, give me my tape, man. Y'all niggas mad old school. He looked at me like, what's the matter with him? Like, Ned, the guy from the actual barbershop, he called. He got the number, he called me, and he called in the middle of the night. And he was like, yo, I want you to call me upstate. We going to Badsville. And where I'm from, if somebody called you in the middle of the night, you told they was mad old school, you might not want to go get in the car with them. You know, you take your ass somewhere, you don't come back. But I said, I'll go in the morning. And the next morning, so the next morning we rode out. And that's when I met Tony Pope on the Trackmasters. And at that time, they had a factory. Like, there was... Badsville was like, it was Tone Pope, Kurt Gowdy, LES, Al West. It's like 5, 6 producers in there, and they was all producing music up to standard. So I made at least 2 records every day. I did, I think, 36 songs in 18 days. I got $65,000 in advance from Columbia. $50,000 went to Jam Master Jay to negotiate the release from JMJ Records. $10,000 went to the attorney that drew the contracts up between me and Columbia and the release between me and Jam Master Jay. They left me with $5,000, and I was out there for over a year before the record came out. So I was back selling crack. How else you gonna provide? How else will I provide for myself and then be on call and able to be in the studio whenever the company called me to actually be there?
Even while still hustling on the side, 50 now had his foot in the industry. With Columbia behind him, he was gearing up to release his debut album, Power of the Dollar. But there was a problem. He didn't feel like there was any real buzz building around his project. So in true 50 fashion, he came up with his own marketing tactic, one guaranteed to grab attention. That plan came in the form of a track titled How to Rob. On it, 50 painted out fictional scenarios of robbing some of the biggest names in hip hop, poking fun at everyone from Diddy to Big Pun, with bars like, "I'll snatch Kim and tell Puff you wanna see her again, dance your ass down to the nearest ATM, and I'll rob Pun without a gun, snatch his piece then run, that dude weighs 400 pounds, how he gonna catch me, son?" The record stirred up controversy immediately, which was exactly what 50 wanted.
I'll explain it. At the time, I'm on Columbia Records. I got a release date coming, and there's no buzz surrounding the record. When you're in my situation, there's no plan B. You know, it's music or we sell crack, because that's what we did before we did music. You understand what I mean? And in that environment, it may seem harsh, even when I say exactly what it is, you know, but that's what it is. But at that particular time, that was what was provided for us to provide for ourselves in that environment. So that's what we did. When you don't have an option, it absolutely has to work. How to Rob. When I was on Columbia Records and I wrote How to Rob, it was an interesting time period for me. I found myself in a building full of executives and people in the music business that had no idea who I was or what I wanted to do creatively, and a release date coming up. Like, so, you know, a lot of the major record companies will put the records out for billing. And I was aware of that, so I felt myself going out without having anything that separated me from the pack or identify with my actual character in any way. So the How to Rob record was something I wrote out of desperation. After Biggie and Tupac, artists were talking about each other, because the competitive nature of hip hop as an art form will absolutely force the actual artists to compete on some levels. They will be competing with each other, but from a subliminal perspective and standpoint. So I said everyone's name on the actual record, which was the actual opposite of what the climate of the music was. And it was enough to make the real heavy hitters aware of me at that actual time period and make mention to it. So it probably was the most effective marketing you could actually pull. And then you had people's egos that wouldn't allow them to not respond to what you were saying. So whether it was in a negative way or a positive way, they was creating an awareness.
Around this time, while 50 was building his name in the industry, another figure reemerged onto the scene, Kenneth Supreme McGriff. Supreme had been in and out of prison throughout the 80s and 90s, but when he got out on parole this time, he wanted to find a way to make legit money he could actually pay taxes on. So he linked up with Irv Gotti with the idea of producing a movie based on Donald Goines' Kenyatta crime novels. The project never came together, but the relationship stuck, and Supreme and Irv kept doing business together.
You know, it was all when the first day he met Irv, that day, that video, Cash Money Click, Get the Fortune, Fuck the Fame, was the first day Irv met Supreme. Mm-hmm. I didn't meet him yet. What did he ask Irv? Can you shoot a movie? First day. He didn't talk no street shit or this and that. He asked, "Oh, you shooting a video? You know, I'm trying to do a movie. You think you can shoot a movie?" That was the first day.
What would Irv say?
No. He said, "I barely know how to shoot a video."
Real talk.
Yeah, kept it 100.
Irv himself had been making a name since the mid-90s, starting as a DJ in the 1980s, then moving into an A&R position at TVT Records and later at Def Jam. By 1999, Gotti's resume already included finding and helping brand artists like DMX, Ashanti, and Ja Rule. At one point in 1997, 50 even tried to get a record deal through Irv via Jam Master Jay, but Gotti turned 50 down, later saying that 50 sounded too generic, like he was trying to copy Jay-Z. By the late 90s, Irv's rise was undeniable. Lear Cohen, the president of Def Jam, gave Irv and his brother Chris $3 million to start their own subsidiary under Def Jam, a record label that they called Murder Incorporated. Once the label was formed, Supreme made his way deeper into the music business, and Ja Rule became its flagship star.
I'm a nigga Preem in the house. What up, nigga? You know, whole brother ain't family in this motherfucker.
For both sides, this arrangement worked. Supreme got legitimate income and a pathway into the industry, while Murder Inc. got the backing and protection of someone with Supreme's reputation in the streets. But relationships like this always come with a price, and eventually things went left. In 1999, Ja Rule was robbed for his chain by a guy named Big Nose Troy.
A dude that I knew, that I fucked with from Southside, came home from jail. Came on my block one night, seen me on my block one night, came to see me, rolled up on me. He was like, yo, Drew, what up? You know, whatever. They called me Left back then. He was like, yo, Left, what up? And me, me holler at you for a minute. I'm like, yo, Troy, what up, my nigga? Jumps out, car, we go, walk up the block, we kicking it. He pulls out the burner on me. So now I'm shocked, you know what I'm saying? Because I know this, like I know him, I fucks with him. So now I'm shocked. So he pulls the burner on me. He's like, yo, you holding, you strapped? I'm like, nah, I ain't got nothing on me right now. He pat me, whatever. So he's like, yo, you was fucking my girl while I was up north. This, that, and the third. And I'm like, nigga, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I wasn't fucking your girl. You know what I'm saying? And if that was your girl and I didn't know that was your girl, that's a different situation. I said, but if I'd have known that's your girl, nigga, me and you cool. Like, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a slime ball, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a creep and shit. That's what that was about. Okay. So he proceeds to say, yo, give me your chain. But he was like emotionally torn. He was having an emotional moment. He was emotional, you know what I'm saying?
So you gave him the chain?
Of course. I said, yeah.
There's a gun in your face?
They got a gun on you, nigga. The nigga with the gun, you know what I'm saying, is the winner, nigga. Yeah. Hands down. The guy with the gun won. You know what I'm saying? All right, yeah. You got the gun, all right, nigga. Take that, hold on to that, nigga. Okay. Not a problem. You know what I'm saying?
All good.
So now he runs off down the block. So now I'm like, yo, we gonna go over there and, you know what I'm saying, go see these niggas over there on the south side. So before I goes over there, I puts in a call to Black Just and Preem, like, cause that's they little nigga too. So I'm like, yo, where's this stupid nigga at? You know what I'm saying? Like, this nigga just came over here and fucking, you know, so this is how this went down. Preem was like, yo, Rule, hold on, let me handle this. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, it's not a big deal. This nigga's, you know what I'm saying, he's in his feelings or whatever. Let me handle it, boo whoops. Before you and your little niggas come over here and acting crazy. No problem. Preem calls me back 15, 20 minutes later. He's like, yeah, I got the nigga. He's over here right now with me. You know what I'm saying? I got your chain. He just came back on the block. I took your chain from him. I got your chain, nigga. Right. And that was that.
Not long after, Ja was on Jamaica Avenue in Queens shooting a music video for his single Murder for Life. 50 Cent decided to show up to the shoot, and you can even see him in the music video at about the 1 minute and 57 second mark. By his own account, 50 wasn't there to start any trouble. He said he was just showing up to show love since everyone was from the same neighborhood, but it didn't go how he expected. He later recalled feeling like an outsider at this music video shoot and saying that he felt like people weren't really interested in welcoming him. That same night, at the after party for the music video shoot, both 50 and Ja ended up in the same club. Also there was Big Nose Troy, the same man who had robbed Ja Rule. According to 50, him and Troy were talking, and this is where things really started to turn sour.
A friend of mine's robbed Ja Rule. And I'm in a club, and I see the nigga, I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, chilling. He see me kicking it with the nigga that robbed him, and he feel like, oh shit, I shouldn't speak to this dude, because I know the kid robbed him, but I know this kid, I grew up with him.
But like all stories, there are two sides. Ja Rule has always said that the issue wasn't about Troy. He claims that 50 was simply jealous of how much love he was getting at his music video shoot, boiling it down to 50 being upset that Ja was the bigger artist at the time.
His story is, I seen him with Troy out and about, and I got mad at him. Like, nigga, you had nothing to do with it. Why would I get mad at the guy next to the guy?
50 Cent. It's like, his whole situation came about when I was shooting my second video for my first album on Murder for Life. You know, I was doing a video on Jamaica Avenue or whatever. And I wrote that. I've heard something, this is what I've heard. I've heard it has something to do with that. I didn't say what's up to him or something like that. Like he came running up to me like, yo, what up, bro? And I was like, yo, what up? And he hates me because of that. This is what I gotta deal with, man. This is the fuck I gotta deal with, man.
Even 50 himself later hinted that he may have taken it personally. In a XXL interview, he described the situation like this, saying, quote, "They were supposed to mess with me because they know I'm authentic, period. Any move I decided to make, they were supposed to roll with me because I'm actually cut from the same cloth. I'm a distant cousin. I'm from down the road. I went to see my homie on the Coliseum block. John and them was shooting a music video there. My homie called me from the barbershop and told me that they was there shooting. I walked up to see what was up and he was acting real funny. So I went and got the pistol. I went back on the motorcycle because I wanted to see what it's about. Jai and them seen me. They had the mailbox joint right across the street, the post office box. Supreme seen me from across the street walking down towards the video shoot and says, "Hey, come here. Don't even do it." In 50's eyes, Jai wasn't just being distant. He was being extorted and protected under Supreme's wing. And that, to 50, explained why Supreme was backing Ja Rule and not him, because Ja was feeding Supreme.
Supreme would make reference to him as his food. So he's like, y'all meeting off that. That's my food, leave him alone. You know what I'm saying? So he had became a part of a circle that they're from my environment. They're from my neighborhood. Like, I'm from South Jamaica. He's not. They look at me like I'm one of theirs.
Yeah, because the streets looked at it like Ja Rule was getting extorted by Preem. Let's keep it real. Like, you know, like 50 wasn't getting extorted. Like, back then, come on, a lot of the extortion game was crazy. You know, a nigga like Haitian Jack come put his arm around you. You know, you might give up some jewelry or something. Like, you know what I mean? Or certain niggas come put that arm around you. Preem put his arm around Ja Rule. That's $500,000. 50 ain't doing that. 50 ain't doing that, brother.
With that, 50 decided to take matters into his own hands. He went back to his hood and started recording, and on these songs, he began dissing Ja Rule and everybody tied to Murder Inc.
I'll tell you personally, the Murder Inc., the people that you see like Irv, Ja, the people that are involved in the business aspect are bitches. Like, these niggas don't got no hood in them. I can't even see how a kid can look at Ja Rule and want to be like, this nigga want to be Tupac Shakur. This nigga doing duets, but you call yourself a murderer the whole time. That shit is crazy. I really don't like that guy.
At the same time, he was working on his Columbia Records debut, The Power of the Dollar. On the album was a track titled Your Life's on the Line, and this song wasn't a subliminal diss. 50 took direct shots at Ja Rule, even referencing the robbery where Big Nose Troy snatched Ja Rule's chain.
Why you get jokes in your own hood? Why niggas who rob you walk around like it's all good? Damn. Why you ran the Preem to get your shit back?
But it didn't stop there. 50 also dissed Mr. Cheeks of the Lost Boys, Jay-Z, Nas, and even name dropped Supreme himself. The label hated it. Columbia worried that all this name dropping would end badly for 50 Cent. So they made 50 re-record the track, scrubbing some of the more direct lines off of it, but cleaning it up didn't really solve the problem. Anyone listening could tell exactly who 50 Cent was talking about.
Smurder, smurder, smurder. Live with it, money. Yeah. Murder, I don't believe you, murder. Fuck around and leave you, murder.
And it wasn't just on wax. According to Black Child, one of Ja's Murder Inc. affiliates, 50 was already spitting those bars in the streets long before the record ever came out. Black Child even claims that he bumped into 50 Cent at one point and warned him not to release it.
He went back to the hood and, you know, he wrote a song, that Murder, I Don't Believe You. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't know, like Swing, this was this kid Swing from the hood, and he, I guess, you know, when niggas is in the hood and they write a new verse, they spit it for people in the hood. It's a little different now because you got social media, so they might be catch an in-studio recording. So he was spitting the verses to a few people in the hood, and niggas told me he had a song early before he recorded it. So I ran into him after the we did the video, and I'm like, yo, Swing told me you got a song. If it's a problem, I'm fucking with Ja. I'm eating, man. Let's just leave that alone. Let's just get money. That's what level I was on from the gate. You know what I mean? And he was like, nah, I ain't got no song. And then a few weeks later, that Murder, I Don't Believe You came out.
Despite that, the record came out and the damage was done.
He had made 2 records at the time. One was called How to Rob, and he was talking about how he's gonna rob all the rappers in the industry. It was a jokey kind of record, but a lot of people took offense to it. My name wasn't mentioned in that record. It was another record that he made called Murder, I Don't Believe You, or something like that, that set my whole thing spinning. And when we had a chance to see each other, it was immediate brawl, confrontation, because we just don't like each other.
By the fall of 1999, the tension had exploded. A promoter had booked both Ja Rule and 50 Cent to perform at the same venue on the same night in Atlanta. When they arrived, Chaz Slim Williams, 50 Cent's manager at the time, saw Ja and the Murder Inc. crew outside of the hotel. Slim thought maybe he could squash the whole thing before it spiraled out of control, so he approached Ja Rule asking if he would be open to talking with 50, and Ja Rule agreed. Slim then went back to 50, who also agreed to meet with Ja Rule face to face. But the peace talk didn't last long. Both men later told their versions of the story, Ja in his book Unruly and 50 in his book From Pieces to Weight. Here's what they actually agreed on. 50 approached Ja Rule outside and the conversation turned heated almost immediately. In the middle of it, 50 decided to punch Ja in the face. He later claimed he did it because Ja had a bat in his hand and was swinging it around while yelling, so he struck Ja before Ja could use the bat on him. After that, Ja Rule's crew jumped in and started beating 50.
Again, he's not an artist yet, really. He's trying to get in. This is, and then we see him in Atlanta. We're probably about 20, 25 people. Right there, there's a hotel, Swiss Hotel. I don't think it's the Swiss anymore, but it was right there in Buckhead. And he's with Chaz. Chaz was managing him at the time, Black Hand.
Yep, little Chaz.
And Chaz was managing him. He sees us, Chaz's family comes over. Yo, I want you guys to fix this. Can we work it out? For Chaz, let's do it. Fix it. John and 50 walk off talking. You know, Rule got that big voice. You hear him, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Why are you making these records? 50 snuffs him.
Okay, so that part's real.
Absolutely. It's like, you will never get no lie out of me. It doesn't make sense to lie. If a real is real, that's the bottom line. He snuffs him. You want to hear the real story? Ja took the snuff, takes him, has his shirt over his head, hitting him right back. He gets out of his shirt and starts running. We're all on the way because once we seen him snuff Ja, we're all going over it. He runs into the hotel, feeling boom, gets away.
So what happened was, I see him in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? A mutual friend of ours named Chaz. He sees me.
Black Hand Chaz.
Black Hand Chaz.
Queen.
Uncle Chaz, yes. He sees me outside of the hotel before 50 rolled up. And he's like, yo, Ja, 50 just want to talk to you about the whole situation that's going on. Will you talk to him? I was like, Chaz, I ain't got no problem talking to homeboy. You know what I'm saying? When I see him, we'll talk. So he pulls up a little bit later. Now, I had a little bat and some gloves, and that was whatever. So I see him, he pulls up. So we get to talking, and the talk got heated because I got mad and I started screaming at him and telling him that, he was a bitch and this, that, and the third.
So we get to talking, I get to call him nigga all types of niggas because that's what he is. You know what I'm saying? And the nigga, he felt threatened a little bit. I understand that, I have a big voice.
And so he swings at me, you know what I'm saying? He caught me a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I dipped it and then hit him with the bat, boom. So now we start tussling, we tussling. Now my niggas is there, he got a few niggas with him there. Me and my niggas proceed to whoop his ass while his niggas did nothing. They sat back and watched the whole shit.
I hit the nigga with the baseball bat, took care of him. My niggas jumped on him. We jumped this nigga. We beat him up. I don't go. That's right. That's how we get down the game, nigga. Ain't no one-on-ones, nigga. You getting jumped, nigga. That's how I go. We whooped his ass right there. Blah, 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 blah. His mans was there. They ain't do nothing. So it could have been a fair one, but them niggas was. So it is what it is.
Now Chaz and my nigga BJ's there. They break the shit up. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So they breaks it up. I'm letting the nigga know, listen, it is what it is. He's like, it is what it is. We had to fight, whatever. I'm like, don't come to the show tonight, nigga, because it's going to be a real problem for you. You come to that show tonight.
Ja Rule and his camp claimed that after that fight, 50 ran away and never showed up to the performance that night, painting 50 as being scared to face him again. But Slim 50's manager at the time has since done interviews telling a different story. According to him, 50 Cent did show up to the venue that night, but the promoter refused to let him perform. Because after the altercation, 50 went straight to the radio and announced it to the world that he had just punched Ja Rule in the face, and the promoter didn't want to risk a full-on brawl or something else if he let them both in the club.
But what happened when we pulled up, Ja was standing outside the hotel, and he had like this little Louisville Slugger in his hand, a short Louisville Slugger. And, you know, he was standing there with, you know, a lot of Murder Inc. people and artists and his manager. And so.
And you were cool with all
that? Yeah, I was cool with everybody. So I was like, you know, so when they said, yo, man, what's up with 50? I said, yo, they supposed to talk. Y'all supposed to talk. You know what I mean? So he said, all right. So when I went back to 50 and Yayo, I said to 50, I said, ain't you supposed to talk? So, oh boy. So he said, yeah. I said, he was acting like he didn't really want to do it, you know. And I said, well, when are you going to do it? I said, you might as well get it over with now. And so, you know, I knew he was a little reluctant about doing it, but he said, all right, you know, no fear or nothing. I just knew that he wasn't feeling any kind of peace accord, you know, but, you know, he said, okay. And when he went to pull Ja to the side, pull him, you know, away from the guys to talk to him, Ja walked over there with the bat in his hand. And, you know, 50, as they talking, you know, how people sometimes talk and they gesture with their hands or whatever. He may have gestured with the bat as he's talking. And, you know, I think, you know, he raised his voice or something. And then 50 swung on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the show that night. You know, 50 had went to radio with a Columbia rep, and we went to the show that night. Yeah, we went to the show, but we didn't, the promoter, you know, he had heard what happened, and basically he was trying to back down on the second half, and so we like, nah, we ain't, you know, either second half or it ain't happening, we ain't performing, you know what I mean? So, you know, he was trying to claim that the show was ruined because 50 went to the radio station and basically said that he snuffed Ja. So when he mentioned what happened, the promoter's trying to say that caused him to lose money on the show. So, but we were there to do the show. But basically, when he wasn't trying to come up with that second half, we just took the first half and kept it moving.
Yeah, I had an altercation with Ja in Atlanta, and I hit him. But I hit him because what he was saying in conversation was telling me to hit him. He didn't realize that his body language was moving when he was talking to me, and that you don't talk to me like that. Like I'm just conditioned for something different. But for the chain, yeah, I took the chain in that altercation.
At the end there, you can hear 50 claim that he snatched Ja Rule's chain during this scuffle, something that Ja has completely denied in his book. According to Ja, the chain simply fell off of his neck in the chaos and 50 picked it up, or one of 50's homies picked it up. Either way, the rumor spread fast, and 50 passed the chain around the neighborhood, letting everyone and their mama wear it, and even flaunted it in the Your Life's on the Line music video that he shot after this. Ja Rule claims that 50 didn't snatch his chain and wasn't wearing his chain in that music video, but that part has been confirmed by other people like Bangum Smurf, one of 50's childhood friends, and Tony Yayo.
Yeah, he told me about the incident. Ja did have a little bat in his hand, friend. You know what I mean? Ja was getting all hype out of control. So, you know, 50 is like a calm nigga. He ain't really the type of nigga to argue with face to face. So he punched the nigga now. I know Ja had a black eye because he couldn't do interviews or none of that. That's close fact. And he had the nigga chain. So how you get beat up? How you beat a nigga up? You got a black eye, ain't got your chain took. Then the nigga 50 walked off like they ain't even try to get the chain back. Brought it back to the hood he was wearing. He also had it on in one of his music videos. He was wearing it in the murder video. Scream murder, I don't believe you. When he was still on Columbia. And I don't even like things, so ain't no reason for me to front.
And then it popped. When I ran outside, Ja Rule, I was black already. His shit was like this. 50 caught him already. His shit was like this already, nigga. Like this, right here. You see? Look, camera got it. You got it, Cam? You got my man from overseas? That shit was like this. 50 a boxer, caught Ja Rule already. And then I guess the chain pop, he snuffed him in, you know, Southside nigga. And had the chain.
Go in the hotel, he showed me the chain. Marquise had it, everybody, his son had it, everybody.
Ja Rule's chain.
Yeah, it was just getting passed around in the hood.
After the incident, 50 apparently reached out to the Supreme team directly, and the two supposedly struck a deal. 50 will return Ja Rule's chain, and in exchange, Supreme would give him 2 luxury watches.
This is my little boy wears, and we got Nas. Nas we don't even cool with each other. He'll tell you that he saw a chain on my little boy's neck, and I took it off his neck, and they end up giving me 2 watches to wear it in order to get the chain back.
After the conflict in Atlanta, Murder Inc. decided to do everything in their power to blackball 50 Cent from the music industry. Irv Gotti, in particular, threatened to cut ties with anyone who worked with 50. Ironically, this move backfired, and instead of being forced into a label that Gotti could manipulate, 50 eventually landed the deal of a lifetime, signing with Eminem and Dr. Dre, 2 people who weren't controlled by Irv Gotti, a move that would completely change 50 Cent's trajectory.
I feel like, 50 was a genius because we could have signed with other deals, and bitch ass Irv Gotti was trying to block us in the Universal system. So we had deals on the table, 2 million, but 50 was like, nah, Irv is gonna block us because Ja Rule was still, what would I be without you? The Cookie Monster was still on top a little bit, you know what I mean? So with that being said, like 50 waited for the right deal, and Eminem and Dr. Dre,
right,
we came to the West Coast. You know?
Exactly. Thing that I would probably tell a young DJ Irv is, let Atlantic Records sign 50 Cent. Because I blocked the nigga till he fell into M and Dre's lap.
Damn, are you serious?
Yeah, labels would call me, and I was so hot I was just the hottest thing. So I'd be like, yo, if you fuck with him, I ain't fucking with you. And they were like, we ain't fucking with him then, Gotti, forget it.
But at this time, the beef wasn't just music. It was starting to interfere with the business for everybody involved. 50's manager, Slim, reached out to Supreme to set up a meeting to squash this beef once and for all, but when the time came, 50 backed out. He later wrote in his book that he felt like it was a setup, and so he decided not to show up.
Duly note, we did try to eradicate this whole situation. We tried to, pull it together through the hood, because here we are, we figure, we're all street guys. So let's police ourselves. Let's call, the heads of whatever street, the ghettos, and people that can bring us together, mutual people that could bring us together, and we'll sit down and we'll talk. We all showed up for the meeting. He never showed up for the meeting.
After the failed peace attempt, Slim decided to part ways with 50 altogether. Years later, 50 would reference this on his song Many Men, saying, Then came March 24, 2000. 50 Cent and Ja Rule crossed paths once again, this time at the Hit Factory recording studio in Manhattan. Both camps, 50 and his crew and Ja Rule with Murder Inc., had sessions booked that night. When Ja found out that 50 was in the same building, he allegedly lost it and started demanding that his crew go confront 50 Cent. Like most things in this story, there are 2 completely different versions of what went down, but what we know for a fact is that 50 Cent and multiple other people, including the studio DJ who was just there to be an engineer, ended up getting stabbed. According to reports, Irv Gotti and his brother Chris and a Murder Inc. affiliate named Black Child were part of the group that confronted 50 Cent. Ja Rule claims that he was there too, despite being on crutches at the time from a jet ski injury, but he says that he was there and even says that he beat 50 with his crutch.
Rule was in the studio. Me and Irv, we weren't there yet, right? When we walk into the studio, we hear Rule going crazy. He's yelling and screaming, and what happened? And mind you, we have about 40, 50 guys with us in the studio. We had the big room. The number 1 room is in the Hit Factory, a huge room. And Rule's like, he's here. He's here. Rule had crutches. He was on MTV. I think he did something on jet skis and messed his ankle up. So he had crutches. His ankle's messed up. And he's like, who's here? He's like, 50. He's here. He's in the building. He's like, and I want to get him. Let's get him now. This is Rule. The end of the day, we're sitting there, I'm trying to keep, Irv is doing the talking with Rule, and he's trying to keep a level head with Rule. Like, what are you worried about? Let's do what we do. Fuck that, da-da-da-da. And then it hit him like he asked Irv a question. The question was, you not riding with me? And you riding with me? You ain't riding with me? Yeah. And that's when all I seen Irv do was unbuckle his watch. And I knew what that was, so that was it. And then we went looking for him in the studio.
You know what's crazy is they was so scared. It was terrifying me after that Hit Factor.
Yeah.
There always some suckers, B. Let me tell you, the door was super narrow, right? We in the hallway upstairs in Hit Factory, them little rooms they got upstairs. Yeah. It's super narrow, right? They came
It was dumb small.
and closed the door. The door that they was in my jacket is in their room. Look, there's 2 doors right here, right? My jacket is in this one. The hallway's narrow enough for us to walk through. That's it. They come close this door. They in there. They just let them close the door. My gun is in the jacket in that room. So we got to go through the scrapping on this side. The boy gets stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
The DJ. The whole situation be bugged out. But they got my fucking pistol in the other room. Sitting there. I'm knocking pull after these niggas done ran down. I can't even get my pistol. I want to shoot a nigga going down the steps.
That pistol was in that.
It would have been all right if I did that. It was self-defense still. Because all that many people came in there, whole different thing.
If that pistol
I would have changed everything.
Oh my shit.
Better I'd have let the swim me off in there with a bunch of these 2. Bang, like 2 of these get hit by 1 bullet. Then I didn't even go to the hospital. The little scratch I had only was with 3 stitches.
Yeah, get that.
I didn't go to her. I went home. And I'm in the radio hearing I went to the hospital. So they had me. I was like, all right. That's when they just rolled a valve there the day after.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Birthday and right there. Some scratches. That's all bitch ass niggas could do. You know what I mean?
How that?
They always make it bigger than it is.
New York City. And again, we're in the Hit Factory, and I hear from a mutual friend that he's upstairs in a studio upstairs. And it got a little violent, a couple of people were stabbed. Hurt severe, a little bit, some severe injuries.
Was he severely hurt?
No, I think he took like a laceration to the stomach. He got a few stitches or whatever. He up there, found him in this room, turned off the lights, put a boot, you know what I'm saying? Gave nigga the business. Nigga stabbed him. We did what we had to do to him. He's up. My man Black Child put in that work. What up, Black? You know what I'm saying? That's what it is, nigga. I had a crutch. I was going across the nigga head with a crutch, real crazy. But anyway, he was curled in the corner like a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Niggas just dropping speakers on his head, all type of shit.
Over the years, Black Child has done numerous interviews where he's admitted that he was the one who pulled out the knife, saying that he thought 50 or someone in 50's crew was reaching for a gun, so he struck first.
What's beef? Know what I mean? Beef is when you see a nigga in the studio or wherever, and the nigga want to talk, and niggas was like, nah, ain't nothing to talk about, right? It's like 5 of us and 5 of them, and niggas is getting it on and fighting and bang. Some way, somehow, the lights got hit off, and niggas was getting it on in the dark. It wasn't like nobody hit the snitch like niggas is gangster and niggas hit the switch. Know what I mean? But I felt the gap was in the area and niggas was reaching for. Know what I mean? And I wasn't letting nobody get to their gun to pop me. Know what I mean? So I started poking niggas straight up and down. And that's the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. We seen them, they seen us, it popped off, and one of them started reaching for a gun. Yeah, I stabbed him, know what I mean? But he was reaching for his gun and I poked him straight up and down.
After the fight, 50 stumbled downstairs and out of the building. Across the street from the Hit Factory was the office of the Source magazine. It was ran by Benzino at the time. They had a car service for artists, and 50 asked Benzino for a car to drive home in. Once home, his grandmother cleaned his wounds, and the next day, worried about an infection, 50 decided to go to the hospital. Irv Gotti and his brother were arrested in connection with the stabbing, but ultimately no one was convicted. Years later, both Irv and Ja went to Hot 97, claiming that they had paperwork proving that 50 Cent had gave a statement to the police, which they used to brand 50 as a snitch. The truth was, the paperwork that they had was an order of protection, barring Irv and Chris from making any contact with 50 Cent or any of the other victims.
And what I'm holding in my hand, I'm gonna leave with you, man. is a order of protection. An order of protection for Irving Lorenzo to stay away from Curtis Jackson. That's 50, y'all. AKA 50, AKA 50, AKA informant, AKA I'm telling.
Lawyers let us know. I mean, niggas was pressing charges. Niggas said that I stabbed them and then I stabbed a few people and all that. They gave a statement on me. That's the statement that's floating around that some people don't think is a real document, but it's a real document.
What Murder Inc. left out was that 50 himself actually hadn't filed for this order of protection. The paperwork came from the DJ who was stabbed that night in the studio, a guy with no ties to either crew and who was just there to do his job and wanted help covering his medical bills.
Fool, at this time, I ain't got no money. I'm not paying it. How am I supposed to control what he does after that? He's looking at it like it's payday. Oh, they're gonna pay for this.
Yeah.
They feeling like I'm supposed, like I'm doing it.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Like I'm telling them to do that. So you know how the old heads deal with anything. You know what I mean? So that's why I go down when we go down. But
You never got arrested.
What were you charged with?
I don't remember all the charges. Honestly, I don't remember all the charges.
But you didn't end up getting convicted or anything else?
No, I got thrown away.
Why?
Because he didn't show up.
Oh, he didn't show up to
You
court?
gotta do it. You gotta go through the motions. We paid doctor bills.
How much was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, about 50,000 a head.
50,000 each. You had to pay 50,000
to each of the people because there's multiple people that got stabbed and beat up that day.
Okay, so you guys had to cough up 100,000,
more than that,
200,000.
It's probably about 250.
$250,000, and that was so it wouldn't go to court essentially.
Well, it was paying their doctor bills, and then a court was just separate because, again, you get arrested for everything, and then you got to have someone that's saying you did it. If no one shows up to say that. But then that's business, right? He didn't put Ja Rule on the order of protection. He just put me and Irv on the order of protection.
Oh.
Ja wasn't on the order of protection. It was me and Irv.
they felt like I was sending the people that were around me to the cops because I couldn't actually control these people. They didn't realize I didn't have finances. So when they didn't actually, they're like, he don't have no money. Why? How you don't have no money? He just did the deal. And then when the DJ goes and he actually got stabbed in his chest and had to go through some different, a different type of situation. And he didn't know nobody in that situation. He was just DJing. So I wasn't paying him enough for him to get stabbed in the chest and be all right with it. And he was looking to actually sue them to get what he can actually get out of it. And they thinking I'm putting him up to go do that because they know it didn't bother me, the altercation at all. In fact, as soon as they came in, we just started fighting. Like, it didn't matter to me that we was having an altercation right there.
Nobody was ever prosecuted because 50 decided not to pursue the order of protection, which makes sense if he really wasn't the one who filed it. Either way, Murder Inc. seized the opportunity to label 50 a snitch, which only made things worse when an unreleased track of his leaked online called Ghetto Quran. The song became one of 50's most infamous early releases, with many believing it's what almost cost him his life. Unlike How to Rob, which had playful, tongue-in-cheek disses at rappers, Ghetto Quran was dead serious, and it painted a vivid picture of New York's drug underworld, directly naming legendary kingpins and crime figures who controlled the streets. In the song, he shouts out Supreme and his nephew and right-hand man Prince, saying that Supreme was a businessman and Prince was a killer. He also mentions other people like Fat Cat Nichols, Black Just, and a string of other heavyweights. 50 detailed their reputations, their roles, and how their operations shaped Queens during the height of the crack era.
See niggas feared Prince and respected Supreme. For all you slow motherfuckers, I'ma break it down illa. Supreme was the businessman and Prince was the killer. Remember? He used to push the bulletproof BM, His head get you seasick. I sat back and peeped shit. They roll with Easy Wider than. They get blunted. Had the whole projects working for 50 or 500 as a youth. All I ever did was sell crack. I used to idolize Cat. Hurt me to my heart to hear that nigga snitched on Pap. How'd he go out like that? Rumors in the hood was just for snitching. I ain't believe that, Paul. He helped me cop my first GSXR, had the 4 and the Z, the 5 and the 3. Used to drive this truck through the hood, dragging jet skis from Joe Wallace to Baby Wise. Don't be surprised at how freely I thought our names of guys who dealt with pies. L got shot in the neck, then told us connect. The niggas who shot him got him for 10 bricks. Fucking Dominicans turned around and gave him more bricks. Rest in peace to Rich and Ron. Money what they was about, yo. The twins was from Queens, but got crazy crane without pole. Throughout my time, I heard tales of Heine, Frenchie, Jamaican Paulie, Ducky Coley, Rodney bumping chicks, shit. A lot of niggas flew the way I flew, but they been in the game all that, so don't know who I know.
In 50's mind, he wasn't dissing anyone. He thought he was paying homage, but many of the people that he named in this song were still active in the streets, and someone like Supreme saw it differently. To him, this wasn't respect. It was dry snitching and airing out street business that should have never been put on wax.
Cool with the record. They knew what it was about. It was like Corey D writing a dedication rhyme. You know what I'm saying? In the neighborhood at that point. And this is all about previous activity. It's not nothing about things that they can actually be convicted for or, you know, tried on in this situation at that point.
Supreme retaliated the best way that he knew how, by cutting 50 Cent off from the industry. He reached out to radio DJs, mixtape DJs, and producers, telling them all not to work with 50. Ja Rule later wrote about this in his book Unruly, and multiple other DJs from that era have confirmed that Supreme tried to blackball 50 over this song.
But I don't know what the Holy Quran is you talked about a lot of the hustlers in Queens.
Yeah, the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, but you know DJs would get beat up for playing the record. Like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, dope, all day. Like if you played it, DJs
certain spots.
like they would call and be like, "Don't play that record." Yeah, that's how crazy it was back then.
On top of that, just 3 weeks before Ghetto Quran leaked, Supreme was the target of a shooting at a gas station, and he believed that 50 Cent was the person behind it. Years later, 50 spoke about the situation in a XXL interview. He explained a meeting that he had with DJ Clue and Clue's manager, saying that I took a meeting with DJ Clue respectfully to try to do a deal. And you know the first thing that he said to me when I got in there? He said, "Yo, I spoke with the Wolves and they told me it's all right to sit down with you and do business." Quote, "Cause Preem thought I tried to kill him at the gas station. Somebody shot him and tried to kill him at the gas station. So they were saying I spoke to Preem and he was like, yo, it's okay if we do business with you. He thought you tried to kill him, but he found out that it was something else." Now, in this shooting that Supreme thought was 50 Cent, he wasn't actually hit, but his belief that 50 was behind it, combined with the reckless way that 50 had been moving for years at this point, pushed him over the edge. And on May 24, 2000, in the afternoon, 50 Cent was leaving his grandmother's house, getting into the backseat of a friend's car, and another car pulled up alongside him. A man jumped out and opened fire, hitting 50 Cent 9 different times.
My shooting is like, I got shot May 2000, about 12 o'clock in the afternoon in front of my grandmother's house. My son was in the house and my grandmother was in the front yard. I came out to a car and then I went back in the house. And I came back out and got into the car, and they had to see me come out the first time and go back in, and then by the time I came out the second time, it was cool. Like, I didn't even think about it, but it was a really great spot for you to shoot someone because the North Conduit is right there, and then you make the right and you're going. Neither one of those situations were impressive, but what I did learn was that after I assessed the situation, because I spent a lot of time thinking about it afterwards, and then I started to realize how weak they actually were, because I always saw about 20 or 30 people with them, and they all be dressed in black and said, "We the murderers." And then when the shooting took place, it wasn't none of those 30 people. You see what I mean? So it made me feel like all those guys are looking for an opportunity to get out of the actual hood, and they're not actually hood. Because if there was really that, they would have took the opportunity to make the few dollars and just shot me. Like the guy who shot me did it. When you're in those situations, like under those circumstances, either your fear consumes you or you become insensitive. When you hurt that bad. See, when somebody halfway kill you, it hurt. When they kill you, it don't look like it hurt. Like they're gone. They're not even in there. It look like they're not there. So I don't know what it feels like to die, but it doesn't look like it hurts as much as a hospital bed. I've seen several times guys get shot and they fine on the way to the hospital and then they don't come back. The operation trying to take bullets out kill them. So you don't know if you're actually gonna survive it or not. Going back to the hood just wasn't an option. So then it kind of made you feel like the only thing that you could really do legitimately is
find the source of the actual problem and just kill him. And that's just the truth. You know, under those circumstances, I don't see how you can, somebody shoot you 9 times, you can't just apologize to them and say, yo, this is a big misunderstanding.
This just sounds crazy.
So you knew who you eventually knew who your attempted
Who, the shooter? Yeah.
shooter was.
The guy who shot me died like 2 weeks later. Yeah, he's from Brooklyn.
And you knew who sent him.
Yeah. I mean, I know who I had issues with, so, you know, I wasn't there for a conversation or the financial transaction.
After the shooting, 50 was rushed to the ER where he underwent multiple surgeries to remove the bullets. Doctors worked around the clock and miraculously, they did save his life. Word on the streets was that Supreme had put a hit out on 50, and the first suspect to be named as the shooter was a guy named Daryl Hamo Bounds, Hamo being short for homicide. He was a stick-up kid from Brooklyn who was feared in the streets, and 50 directly named Hamo as his shooter on multiple occasions, but most famously in his song Many Men rapping, Hamo shot me, then 3 weeks later, he got shot down. Hamo was also a close friend of Mike Tyson's, even serving as Tyson's bodyguard at one point. In fact, at the time of the shooting, Hamo was living in Mike Tyson's mansion, the very same mansion that 50 would later buy after Mike Tyson went bankrupt. Hamo was killed on June 10, 2000, just 3 weeks after 50 Cent's shooting, and according to reports, he had tried to force a member of the Cash Money Brothers crew to sell drugs for him. The Cash Money Brothers crew was a Brooklyn-based organization that operated much like Supreme teams did in Queens. Basically, they was moving heavyweight throughout the city, but pressing the wrong people came at a cost. 2 CMB members caught up with Hamo and killed him. As far as anyone knows, 50 Cent actually had nothing to do with this killing. After Hamo's death, Mike Tyson dedicated his next fight to him, and some sources even allege that Tyson was so furious that he put a $50,000 bounty on the heads of anyone from CMB who could be caught and killed. One of the men that were involved in Hamo's murder was Damian World Hardy, who was also the boyfriend of Lil' Kim. Years later, Lil' Kim and 50 Cent would have their own back and forth after releasing the hit song Magic Stick. World reportedly claimed that he had written the record, and when it came time to shoot the music video, 50 Cent was a no-show. Things escalated further when 50 Cent went up to Hot 97 to do a freestyle for Funk Flex, and during the freestyle, he dissed both Lil' Kim and World directly.
I wrote Magic Stick, I gave Kim a hit, then I shoot the video, she threw a little fit, got emotional and shit, now this I don't get, why would I care about your emotions, you're not my bitch.
This set World off because 50 wasn't just disrespecting Lil' Kim, he was disrespecting the man who allegedly killed the man who shot 50 Cent 9 times. He was basically like, I killed the dude who tried to kill you, and now you're on the radio disrespecting me. So he felt some type of way about it, and when 50 Cent left the radio station, he headed towards Jersey, and World and his crew followed 50 Cent the whole way. When they stopped outside of a hotel in Jersey, World hopped out and opened a fire. Detective Bill Courtney, who investigated much of this saga, has talked in interviews about what he's learned regarding this attempted retaliation.
The shooter was Damian Hardy, aka World.
So World was managing her, extorting from her, whatever he was doing. And he wanted the video done. As I heard the same thing. And I ended up getting his phone number, World's phone number. And you could see it starts in like Bed-Stuy area when 50 and them are doing their interview. And then they're rolling and they get to Hot 97. And then they followed them, like you follow the phone from Hot 97 out to a hotel in Jersey City where this shootout takes place. And they wouldn't cooperate on that one, 50 and his crew.
Okay, so World shot at 50 Cent and G-Unit. Nobody got hit though.
No.
50 Cent didn't cooperate.
No.
How do you know it was World?
I got a call about it that night. I got his phone number the next day, World's phone number, and the rest was history.
So he triangulated his position to where it was. Yeah.
World was eventually arrested, but not for that shooting. Instead, he was convicted on charges tied to 6 different murders and sentenced to life in prison.
Lil' Kim was fucking with one of the realest gangsters in Brooklyn, right? World, right?
Yeah.
Was 50 scared?
No.
Where the fuck you go?
Nobody was shot during this dispute between World and 50. So that's the story of Hamo and the man who killed him, World. But even this raises questions because there are real disputes over whether Hamo was actually the man who shot 50 in the first place. For example, in an interview with writer Seth Ferranti, who authored the book The Supreme Team, 50 himself admitted that he fabricated the story about Hamo being the shooter. He said, quote, "I made the scenario about Hamo being gunned down 3 weeks later up to prove to Supreme that I wasn't a snitch." In other words, 50 claimed that he made all of this up to throw the feds off of the real trail of the real shooters, hoping that they would believe justice had already been served. And according to Bill Courtney, it worked, at least for a little while.
They say that 50 thought it was Hamo.
Right.
Hamo was Mike Tyson's guy.
Yeah, Darryl Baum. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Tyson's bodyguard at one point, right?
Yeah. Well,
bodyguard, friend, whatever.
Yeah. Street,
Okay.
real tough guy, but not a killer. You know, not a shooter.
Okay. Why do you think 50 Cent thought it was Hamo?
I think he said to the guy next to him, "That looked like Hamo." That looked like Hamo. Was that Hamo or something like that? I think that's how that got out.
Who was the guy that was in the car at 50?
I forget his name. I went to go speak with him in prison, upstate New York, and he wasn't no part of it, you know? But he was scared, you know, like he didn't want anything to do with it. And so we never got anywhere that way. And in the beginning of the investigation, I thought it was Hamo. You know, I mean, 50 said it was him and everything else. And then when we started to get cooperators in the case, we found out differently.
Meanwhile, in 2002, Kenneth Supreme McGriff was arrested on federal charges related to murder for hire, but not for 50 Cent. Instead, these charges were tied to the murder of a guy named E. Moneybags and another guy named Troy Singleton, or Big Nose Troy, the same Troy who had robbed Ja Rule for his chain years earlier. Both men were allegedly targeted and killed on Supreme's orders. Investigators wanted to charge Supreme with the attempted murder of 50, but they simply didn't have enough evidence. As Courtney himself said, it was partly because neither 50 nor anyone in his camp would cooperate. Still, in trying to build their case against Supreme, prosecutors started offering reduced sentences to any insiders that were willing to flip on Supreme. And one of them who did flip was a guy named John Reagan, a Supreme Team member who was facing 19 years for drug and fraud charges. Hoping to get time served, he gave up information about 50's shooting. In his testimony, Reagan said that Supreme had met with 50 multiple times asking him to squash his beef with Murder Inc. and Ja Rule, but 50 always refused. When asked who the shooter was, Reagan didn't point to Hamo. Instead, he named a guy named Sun, who was the head of security for Murder Inc., and another man known as Guy B. He testified that after the shooting, he saw Supreme, Sun, and Guy B at a mall where they met in order to form an alibi. He even claimed that he personally saw Sun wash the gunpowder residue off of his hands with rubbing alcohol. Despite these revelations, Supreme was never charged with the attempted murder of 50 Cent. Neither was Sun, nor was Guy B. But according to Bill Courtney, Sun was the man who actually pulled the trigger, and he was directly connected to Ja Rule, even driving around in vehicles that were registered under Ja Rule's legal name. Today, Sun is reportedly living in California and is in fact alive.
50 gets shot 9 times by Sun. He survives.
Yes.
Robert Lyons, aka Sun, who's the shooter, you said became Ja Rule's bodyguard.
Yes.
Did Ja Rule and them already know him, or was it because of the shooting that they kind of brought him in?
Yeah, so the weird thing about Rob Lyons is when I first got his name, he didn't have an arrest record. He had a record with the FBI, but nothing that would come back on a rap sheet. I don't know if he got his case, you know, dismissed somehow or another, and at any rate, he was a mystery to us, and the only thing I could find was his driver's license. But he was driving around in a Hummer. He lived in the pink houses in Brooklyn. Later on, he was driving around in a Mercedes-Benz. I took the tag off the Benz, and it comes back to Jeffrey Atkins, Ja Rule. Last I heard, he was out here somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't just reports and testimony from cooperators that led investigators to believe that Son and God B were the real shooters, though. On top of what they already had from the cooperators, they also had GPS data from their pagers showing that both men traveled into the area where 50 Cent was shot just minutes before it all went down.
If you look at the two-way pager records that we found, historical records, you'll see people, unknown people, saying 50's on Guy Brewer and 155th or wherever. So they were out looking for him. And so Kenneth McGriff, Chauncey Milliner, whose street name was Godby, Rob Lyons, whose street name was Son or Rob Love, they go to 50's grandmother's house and wait for 50, and the rest is history. They shoot him up, and they flee. They take the car to Brooklyn. They give the car to an associate of the Supreme Team and tell him to hide it. And years later, we actually found that car too.
Then, in 2002, another tragedy struck. Jam Master Jay, the man who had discovered 50 Cent back in 1996, was shot and killed in his recording studio. Rumors quickly spread that Jay's death was connected to 50 Cent because after Ghetto Quran dropped and Supreme told everybody not to mess with 50, Jay refused to listen. He kept playing 50's records, and many believe that decision cost him his life. Over the next few years, the feud between 50 Cent and Ja Rule refused to die down. Both kept taking shots at each other, and eventually other rappers got pulled into the crossfire. Names like Jadakiss and Fat Joe, after they appeared on Ja Rule's track New York, and on the flip side, Eminem and the rest of Shady Aftermath rolled with 50 Cent, throwing fuel on the fire. Meanwhile, Supreme couldn't dodge the law forever. He was being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder for hire plots against E-Money Bags and Big Nose Troy. Ja Rule's career slowly fizzled out after this, while 50 Cent became one of the biggest stars that rap had ever seen. Irv Gotti and his brother Chris weren't so lucky either. They were indicted on money laundering charges, with feds arguing that Murder Inc. was just a front to wash Supreme's drug money. The case didn't stick though, and after they turned down multiple plea deals, one that would have only given them a year in jail and another that offered just 6 months in jail to plead guilty, they decided to fight it all the way through and take it to trial. And on December 2nd, 2005, they were acquitted, but not before burning through over $10 million in legal fees. At the center of all this was a beef that spiraled into the music industry and damn near ended 50 Cent's life. Till this day, people still debate on who really pulled the trigger, but one thing is clear: what was meant to destroy 50 Cent only made him stronger. 50 Cent survived 9 bullets, beat the odds, and turned the beef into the foundation of a real empire.
Shell, hit my jaw, I ain't wait for Doc to get it out. Hit my wisdom tooth, I spit it out.